What is up, friends? Thank you for all who checked out my first video in over a year yesterday. I got a question in the comments and I want to follow up right away because let's get to it. I don't want to disappear for another year, so I got to stay on top of this. The question was about my shoe collection and whether or not I've purchased any shoes since I last updated you. And I have, and I'm sorry for laundry noise in the background. We're just going to power through. I hope you can hear me. I know the lighting is a little odd, but we're gonna, the important thing is that we get through the material on the shoes. Now, no spoiler here. I'm not that interested in being adventurous with what works for my feet. When I find something that works for them, I get enough variety out of getting that same shoe in different colors, and I don't mix it up too much because I'm not buying the shoes to review. I wish I had that kind of money because then I would own every brand, several models, because there's tons of shoes that look delightful. But until the company starts sending them to me, I'm just going to work with what I can purchase. So the spoiler, not spoiler, is that the Xero HFS is still my ride or die favorite shoe. It works like impeccably well out of the box. Like I don't get emotional, but I get excited by how well this shoe works for me. I don't even have to lace it up. I take it out of the box, put it on my foot, no socks, rock and roll. And that for me, it's priceless. So I stick with that shoe. I want to show you really quickly though just how hard I wear this darn shoe. I wear them out. Like I don't think you can see on the darker gray leather, but it's like paper thin. Okay, I really wear these little suckers out. These I can still absolutely use. I'll use them as a dance shoe because as that tread wears down, they're less tractiony, right? So I'll use it as a dance shoe, like a practice dance shoe, around the house on this nice smooth concrete that you can't see very well, as a garden shoe, right? As a shoe to rotate in when it's raining consecutive days, and these shoes do take forever to dry out. They just live in my oven. I just put them in my oven, like I shake out as much of the excess water, and I put them in my oven, and I count that the next time I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna preheat the oven and disinfect it, right? So it's fine. But anyway, for germs off the street, 'cause that's kind of gross. But anyway, that's what I do, and so I keep pairs in the mix as long as I can. Oh my God, this wear here is a little bit of a twofold. We're gonna review some shoes and look at some wear pattern. This shoe dates back to when I had my sweet elderly senior dog before these two angels in the background. And I would walk backwards miles with that dog for several months because he moved so slowly that it was all I could do to just like listen to music and keep an eye on him and help him enjoy his walk without rushing him. And walking backwards was a great way for me to practice my balance and all kinds of things. Before it became hip with knees over toes guy to walk backwards, I was doing it. And the shoes will show you. And the shoes also show you that I was very dominant with my right foot in tracing the floor to make sure I wasn't going to trip on anything and sort of serving the concrete with those right toes a little more than the left for sure. So I got work to do, and the tread or the wear pattern is showing it. Anyway, these I can finally throw away because we've talked about it. Thank you. Okay, so again, one last wear pattern thing I'll show you that I'm just keeping my eye on is this. It's harder to see on the gray, and in fact, it's not as pronounced in other shoes. And I don't think it's because the color of the fabric makes this more durable. I think there's like some changes going on in my walk pattern. This is a shoe I've been wearing since I was injured. And so that tearing there is telling me that my left leg and my left foot, the swing pattern is doing something different. I have some ideas about it, but I don't want to go completely off the rails of a detour in this video about that. But just, again, it's just to note, as you keep track of your collection of shoes, you can learn a lot about the way your feet work by the evidence left on the shoes themselves. All right, so other shoes I've tried. I made a video about Tadeevos. The main reason I'm bringing them on here is to show you I had them. In that video, I described how I was DIY making them into dance shoes by putting suede on the bottom. They don't come with a light blue gray sole, by the way. They come with, this shoe came with brown sole. And I did the DIY leather, but I loved them so much, I doubled down and had them professionally resold with this thick suede. So this has been modified, right, as a dance shoe, but I love them that much. They're a great little shoe. Great little shoe. I love how breathable they are. Speaking of resources, if I could have this shoe in multiple colors, and so that I could have a dance shoe and then also just like a street shoe, I would have another pair that I wouldn't put suede on, maybe in a more neutral color or something. But I love this shoe. I wish I could say more about durability, because I am concerned about the mesh here not necessarily wearing up to a lot of wear and tear if I were wearing them on the street, like I mentioned, I think, in the previous video. But for my purposes, they've been great. And if you want to just, if we can just appreciate, I don't know if you can appreciate, but because I use it as a dance shoe, there's a lot of wear along sort of what would be like pressure on the inside ball of the foot and towards the big toe, because I use that part of my foot more deliberately. This is a very interesting video. I know. Thank you for your assistance. Okay. It's like, guys, you don't understand. I have needs. Okay, excuse me. Okay. I also made a video in the past about my need for a more water repellent shoe. Ideally waterproof, but I would take water resistant. And the shoe I ended up going with was the Wildling Pegasus. I really like a lot about this shoe. I love the footbed. I love the way it is shaped. I love the close feel. This shoe is like a little ninja slipper. Sorry if that's an obnoxious, culturally insensitive comment, but it feels like a perfect slipper to my foot. I really like the shoe. We'll talk a little bit more about the full model, okay? But if I could have Wildlings in every color, in various styles, in particular more low top styles rather than this sort of like half boot, talk about that in a second, I would. It feels amazing. I really like this shoe. If I could get the top of this shoe to fit as well as the close feel that I feel in the connection with my foot that I feel in the HFS, I would wear it more. However, two things. One, the ankle on this particular model is goofy, big and floppy. So if I'm like, were to do some sort of like agility work or like technical hiking or something, I probably wouldn't use the shoe. But let's just pretend. It's not gonna like hold to my ankle very well. It feels awkwardly loose. So I don't mind, because when I walk around casually with it, the low profile of the toes and just the way I walk and my particular instep and whatnot, the shoe follows me fine. But someone else, for example, might get more heel slipping or something like that, because the boxy nature of the upper boot part. It's almost like it needs to be a little tighter lower here around like sort of the below the ankle bone part needs to just be a little more fitted, I think, to hold the heel in place for a better fit, okay? The other thing I wish were different about this shoe, but it's also kind of like double-edged because this is what I purchased it for, is it's not breathable. It's not sufficiently breathable. My feet get really hot in this shoe, and that's why I will only wear it when it's sufficiently cold outside, or when I'm not going to be walking a great distance. So it's kind of limiting. That is a limiting thing. I just am telling you, I like the structure of the shoe and I like the feel of the shoe on my foot very much. But the fact that it's not very breathable, and I'm accustomed to getting plenty of ventilation in my feet, or to my feet, it's a bummer. And I don't think that's a factor, or I will suspect that it's not as much of a factor with other Wildling models, because they are not advertised as having this water impermeable quality, right? It's not like it's waxed cotton or anything, but it's definitely got like a weave or a membrane. I think they call it a membrane, and they have a special insole that is made of this membrane that makes it resistant to water. And I have tested that. They look they look pretty clean. I think they look clean. They should be more grass stained than they are, because I've tested the water resistance by one of my favorite things, walking across wet fields of grass. I just think it feels really fun, and I love to drag my toes in the wet grass. I don't know how, I can't explain why, but I just find that really fun. So when I do have the chance to go out in actual wet weather here in the Bay Area, we need more of it, I will tread across like a big wet baseball diamond or something and then just lap it, right? I used to do this with my other dog, for example. And I would feel the cold of the water, but I would not feel wet toes. And I would get them thoroughly saturated with water. Now, I don't know if that matches like stomping in puddles, although you can see here that, I think you can see that the sole goes quite high up. So I think you should get pretty decent water resistance protection. And of course you could seal them, but because they're already so not breathable, I haven't wanted to do that. Anyway, I really like this shoe. And again, like I said, if money were no option, I would have other colors, but mostly I would have other models that weren't high top, so I would probably wear them a lot. And I think actually, I know the goofy light blue, like I like it, but I think their other models are pretty sleek, to be honest. Like if I had like office casual type of dress attire, like in my former life, I would have some brown and black ones and gray ones and stuff, because I think they look really good. All right, now this is my dud. These are Feelgrounds. I've never worn them outside my house. I should just give them away. I've tried to give them away. True story. So, no takers. But it wasn't because the other person didn't even try them. They weren't rejected by a second person. So how'd I get this shoe? Because Feelgrounds isn't even like a major brand. If I was gonna try another brand, I'd do Lems or, there's various, but I'm forgetting. Dr. Splickle, my guru, I'm in an amazing 8-week course with her right now, deep diving into some foot issues. I'm really excited, and of course, as I learn things and apply and test them in my own body, I will share. Anyway, a long time ago, Dr. Splickle mentioned Feelgrounds. Offhand comment. She wasn't sponsored by them or anything, but I think they sent her a pair of shoes, and she mentioned that she liked them. Now, Dr. Splickle, if you've seen her videos, she's a snazzy dresser. She's a very fashionable woman, and so I think she has more purpose for having shoes that like stay clean and are just more like a neutral ked type of shoe to wear ked type of outfits with. For me, this shoe does nothing for me. Like the aesthetic is like whatever. If I were gonna wear, I don't know, like rolled up jeans and like a Gap t-shirt, like something silly. No offense, but you know what I'm saying. That look or whatever, sure, maybe, right? The aesthetic would be fine. But the shoe itself, which is what I know you care more about, doesn't do anything for me. So I'm saying for you about the outfit, because the only reason I would keep this shoe is if I wanted that shoe to wear with that outfit. But because I don't care about that, I'll never rotate this shoe into my mix because it doesn't feel good enough on my foot. It's boxy, it's very flat. So I think, if it's against the ground, I can't tell if it's in the ground, but you can, so I'm sorry guys, I'm so bad at making this. Anyway, it's just very flat. It almost is convex, right? If other shoes might have a little bit of a lip and be rounded up, this one is almost the opposite. It's so flat. It's like silly how flat. And yes, there's plenty of toe room. It's not that it's uncomfortable. It's just like wearing a box on your foot. So again, if I were just wearing it for the aesthetic, just to run errands or something, and if I cared about looking cute to run errands, I might wear this shoe. But otherwise, it's not functional or doesn't work well enough to make me interesting, or to be interesting to me. Now, this particular brand has a sandal that looks nice, and based on the shape of the foot imprint here, right, the model of the sole, I could be tempted to get that sandal for like outdoor weddings and type of stuff, because it does have a nice foot shape. Like I said, plenty of room for my foot to swim in there. Feels fine. So even though this shoe it doesn't follow my foot well enough or feel good enough for like actual activities and sport type stuff, that's why it's not getting a rotation. But the shape of the shoe works for my foot. And so if I did have you see what I'm saying. I'll stop. But yeah. All right, guys. That's a wrap. 15 minutes. That's a wrap. My die-hard favorite is still the HFS. The Xero has made other models of shoes since this one that look good too. But like I said, I just don't have the extra funds to to experiment. And they're just too pricey to gamble. So I stick with what I love and stick with what works for me. If you would like to see more about this shoe, maybe I'll do a follow-up and we'll take a deeper dive on the wear pattern that we were describing, which you can see. More of that right heel, finding that tripod of my foot. Cool, cool. I like it. I like it. This right foot is functioning well. We'll have a talk about the left foot on another video. Big hug, friends. I hope that's helpful.